how things go. Dun, 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 dun,
I am farting.
dun, 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 dun. Okay, I've got it there. Let's test, see if captions are there. Are captions there? Small text dyslexia. Okay, and I adjusted Seribot and discovered Seribot has some fun new things.
Ow! Ah!
Okay, there's that. I don't really feel like advertising, so I might just go directly into the game. I guess I'll briefly go here. I'm just gonna... Okay. Oh, I should adjust the today command. And... stop the YouTube video from playing in the background. Da, 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 da.
Ow.
Sure, I'll pin that. I don't have anything better to pin. Hide for myself. Okay.
Fuck.
Oh, so, briefly, I don't think this is new, but I did adjust the live streamer cam to be a color more appropriate and adjusted the border slightly to have chat overlap. I think it looks better, but let me know. Other than that, gaming screen still the same. I'll probably adjust the yellow border as well, but for now it's still like this. Okay. Anyway, oh. That's a command. Off stream, I accidentally got myself a fruit. Whee!
Fuck! How? Oh, wait. I'm so stupid. Okay.
Oh, and I think,
I can't take any more hits, I'll die.
visit Olivia at her residence.
Acid.
.exe.
Oh.
We haven't written it.
All my coins are gone? Huh. Mm-hmm.
The game is lagging pretty badly right now. Let's see.
I was having that issue during Silk Song.
Oh, right. There's a redo because I forgot Salmonberry and also the Desert Festival.
My coins.
10,000 coins.
If it was 10,000, I would cry.
Isn't that what the original meme kind of was?
So.
No!
Ow. What happened?
I accidentally destroyed a berry bush. And I am not happy with that, so I'm immediately restarting the day. And I do apologize. Menu music is loud. I know it's loud. Oh, and I should also bring my mic a little bit closer to me.
I made an official. I should do a Hollow Knight Silk Song tattoo for me.
Okay. Let me see if I can reduce the lag with anything. Oh. Yeah, I've got bad memory leaks.
What does that mean?
It means that everything is using up a huge amount of memory.
Well,
Because it's been open for too long, essentially.
yeah. But you don't shut your computer down at night. And I've been telling you to. Since the summer, essentially. Since we set it up. Ah! Ow!
So, hide that. Okay.
I didn't want to.
Speed.
Oh, another one.
Whee. And I did play through Sunday and Monday on a recording, which I think is out already. So you can check out my YouTube. I do need to update that my YouTube videos with playlists and stuff, but at the same time, it is there.
What? Ah, shoots acid. It's great.
Ooh, portal exclamation mark. Okay.
For fuck's sake. Ah.
every 1.6, every 1.7.
No fucking shot, dude.
Oh, hell yeah.
Well, I don't need to play Dark Souls to hate myself. I can just play this game. Don't get me wrong, it's a pretty game. I love it.
Just gonna kneel our way down to something. I don't think I unlocked the 5th power, but I don't think I actually began using it. Actually, I can. Sword is actually pretty good for harvesting. Feel Grandpa's hand patting your shoulder. Going, there, 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 there.
I'm going backwards. Okay, that's right. I forgot. This guy is. Had 70 coins. In your fucking...
Looks fine on my end. Hi, Opal. Welcome on in.
Because my PlayStation.
You're sick? Yeah.
The PlayStation.
I think you told me about it. That or I have a lot of friends who are just sick. Which is also possible. Because I think that I have other Aussie friends who are also sick. So like, it's going around, but at the same time, I hope you can feel better soon.
Anyway, the PlayStation.
Probably the other friends who were in denial yesterday.
The PlayStation said it lost connection.
Bad headache all day, sorry, or slime bar, which was helping. Yeah, it helps until it doesn't. Yeah, I hope you can continue to drink, sleep, get some good food, and essentially rest into recovering.
Ow!
Oof. My only, suggestion is if you can, drink Gatorade or an equivalent, because that can help, but I know it. You don't think you can deny it now? Yeah.
What happened?
Oh, Opal is sick.
Well, yeah, I'm gathering that much, but with what? The flu?
Potentially, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You know, as odd as this is going to sound if you have it for electrolytes,
Yeah.
they have Gatorade that has more electrolytes in it.
Yeah, but...
Or get Pedialyte.
Yeah, but they don't have any money for food or drinks, so...
Oh.
But... if you get a paycheck, it is good to have on hand, but at the same time, I do get the struggle with not being able to afford it. Like, I wanted to have Gatorade on hand for months, but was unable to because of lack of funds. Where?
Don't
Here we
fall
go.
on spikes.
And the negatives until child support comes in. Or the paycheck on Thursday, which is a whole week away. Yeah.
What the hell?
We're also going to be pretty tight on money because of all of our bills, so I get it.
Motherfucker. As I was.
Okay, got it.
Oh. Ah! Why did I do that?
Possibot. Yeah, you gotta do the best you can to just rest. It sucks when you're sick, but that is genuinely all you can do is drink, drink, sleep, hydrate, eat as you can.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Mm-hmm. But you gotta be safe. Also, I didn't put it in the title or commands, but I am continuing to test if ads are real on my channel. If you had alcohol during the week, you wouldn't be sick. It's also possible the alcohol would just make it worse, but you know. You never know. Spring onions, they're real. Rum fixes all. You're such a low level. Yeah, that's because I haven't manually adjusted your level to be higher. I normally do that to like stop it from spamming. Oh, you've leveled up, because that bot, like, I like having it, but I can't turn off the notifications for the level ups on it. Also right now, I'm salmonberry hunting essentially, so I'm just going around the map, searching for purple arrows. You see that yellow one up in the corner? That's pointing to a forageable item, which in this case is wild horseradish, while I'm looking for any purple arrows, because purple arrows are the bushes that have fruit. I don't think there's any left, because I think I got them all. Oh, like this. Let's see if it... See how the purple arrow is there, and it's pointing to that? That's why I'm looking for, essentially. Okay. Okay, I see a purple arrow up that away. And it's now there-ish. So it's down there. Oh, there's now two. And directly this way. And there's another one that's loosely somewhere down. Where is it? Oh, it's right here. There we go. You need cuddles if like artisan only now starting. Drive back from working away. You're a miserable winner today. No, I get it. Like, Kels can confirm all of the times they've needed cuddles when I've been working, and all of the times that they've been working that I've wanted cuddles.
Yes.
Jeez, this farm is lagging bad on the main screen. And it's weird, like it wasn't lagging. It wasn't lagging before. And I don't know why it is. Like, it's not all of the torches, because I had the torches here and it wasn't lagging.
John.
You didn't maybe get your placement sped up though? Nice. got the number of supervisors through a worker and called him. Hell yeah. Get your ins however you can.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do here.
Both kind of stalking up a desperate, but I am desperate. Yeah, I get it. You gotta do whatever you gotta do in order to try and make do.
I need that compass. You'll always want this. What the fuck? I jumped?
Ocelot.
Bitch.
I wonder if the reason it's this lag is because everything is ready to be harvested.
Ah.
Even though harvesting often causes lag.
Fucking my button. So close. I just need one more coin. Yeah, I'm gonna have to put food router after stream.
Hi Ark, welcome on in. Stopping by before you go to the office today. It's good to see you, Ark. Hope you and your Kels are doing well. We are. We're just chilling after the work week, essentially. Love you guys. We love you too, Ark. It's good to see you. Ark was in chat, love.
Oh, hi, Ark.
2 hours until the Gorgeous is home. 2 hours too long. I get it. Did you explain to us that Gorgeous is because of their tag online being Gorgeous Rexy? I think that... I don't think that I did, but I also think that it is something that is understood. That your partner is gorgeous. They're kind of hyper-focused on their game anyway, so...
I am coin farming. I need 220 coins.
Okay, I think that helped with the lag somewhat. It doesn't lag for you with no mods and no torches. Yeah, but that's also a painfully slow in a different way. Also, I'm exploring the mods that some of these are mods that I wanted to have to explore for a long time. And to be fair, the berry farm itself is a modded farm that is designed to be ginormous. Oh, I can also. Let's check the cave. With mods, money does grow on trees. While I'm here, I might as well also... Weirdly, this zone, which is an identical size to my farm, is not lagging the way the farm does. You don't need more money? Yeah, I know. But at the same time, it's something I can harvest, therefore I will harvest. Oh, I saw somewhere down here. It's also be somewhere.
I fucking should have landed on that. Hello?
Somewhere up. Where are they? Does Kels stream too? Oh yeah, Kels does stream.
Once in a blue moon.
I should actually add the command for that. But yeah, Kels does in fact stream. Their handle is Kelsey Marie 2014. Oh, it's right here, that's why.
I don't know what to do. Oh! Well, okay.
I don't understand what's causing all this lag.
I'm telling you, it's because a lot of people are playing Silk Song right now.
That shouldn't affect a game that's not online like this.
Is it being launched through Steam?
Not really.
Because if it's being launched through Steam, Steam ingest servers are shit in the bed. Silk Song. And that could be like a couple of days thing too. Because people have been waiting for years for this fucking game to come out. Minutes in this game.
Okay. It's only on the one screen too, which was not lagging when I was recording, which is still the same exact program as streaming. Ooh. A special slugging.
Anyway, I need to figure out how to get the king's
Yeah, right. Imagine guess you coined be too picky.
You're right. Motherfucker.
It took you a moment.
Yes. No cupcakes for you. None.
07. You love the passion behind the motherfucker. That's my wife. Passionate in everything they do. And I will compliment them even when they are so hyper-focused they don't notice what I just said. Because
Talking
that...
shit? Huh? Talking I'm a bad gamer? 'Cause it's true, I am.
No.
I'm a shit gamer. New place. New place! Right? New place. Please. Ow! Ow! Bitch! What?
Okay, so I see a yellow arrow, but not any purple. Let's do this mini loop here.
This is a new spot. Ow.
Does not look like there's anything here. So let's go down to the beach. Think. Okay, back to town. Can visit Corvus now.
Ow. Fucking bugs.
I'm good, Corvus. Thank you for the offer, though.
Hold on. There's gotta be a way up there.
You just now noticed the to-do list is written in do. Same with the stream title. You're so dense. No, you're just got the tism that does not notice things necessarily.
Is that Parker? Is he whining?
I didn't hear anything. Kale.
Well, I'm just going now. Ow? Hello?
Drop it. Shut it. That's an actual real tail. I was expecting a fake one.
Ouch. You bitch. You. Fuck you. Ow.
At the storm.
Oh, I think there was a caterpillar there.
Caterpillar? I hardly know her.
You're cute.
And yeah, the stream title is because I technically did this day already, but I forgot about how there's salmon berries and how... Ooh, Sid is live. I'm gonna...
Oh, sit on?
Just went live. I'm going to pull up a tab, but also... Obviously it's muted, so...
Oh my god, please.
Pulling up a tab though kind of made my computer lag. Let's see.
Ow!
Okay, I think the lag's going away. I might have to just pull it up on the others on my laptop alone because out here it's like this. While there may not be any rest for the wicked, money does in fact grow on trees.
Need compass. Bitch. Oh.
You can also add to the list of achievements that help the eldest boy by doing his resume and helped him apply for 2 jobs. Here we go! Domino's and Red Rooster. Oh yeah, nice. You're doing the adulting.
Adulting!
there's still 2 more. And do feel free to point out any purple errors you see that I missed. Obviously, I'm trying my best to get them all, but at the same time, no guarantee I actually do. Probably won't see them if you don't see them. Yeah. They are kind of annoyingly subtle. I am so craving juice, but we don't have enough. Seems like a skill issue.
Wow, you want to take me to Dutch Bros twice this week? No.
Right, this place is a lost cause essentially. I need to basically clear the entire place. Have not done so, so it's a mess. Ditto for this place. Like, there's probably berries here, but I genuinely do not want to really try. Here, though, I can. Yeah, it won't be that hard.
I am going to take me to ground coffee tomorrow. Keep up the puns, sassy pants.
Quack.
Close to getting the compass. I can't mess up now. I really cannot.
I just murdered her entire slime collection.
Wow.
And it was entirely passively.
Yes! 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 Oop! Ow! Yeah, she's back. Bitch. That's fine. It's more coins for me, actually.
Looked entirely on purpose to you.
I'm so desperately lost. My compass is pretty helpful.
Who needs enemies when you've got friends like Freeze? That is perfect.
What is the problem now?
You thought you liked your bad pun? No, that was a genius pun. Nothing bad about it. Interestingly, the slimes that are all like here are able to be killed, but this slime, which is her special slime, is actually properly marked as an NPC and unkillable. They don't respawn? Well, they do day to day. This is not the first time I've killed them. Spot on your little leaf. Time for a little testing of bike. Serial killer. Good morning, Lavender. You made it. I had almost given up on you. You are all ready for expedition? Excellent. Now you be a good boy while we're gone, Baron Munchington. Miss Eloise has tried to convince me that a troll lives under this bridge. Such an act of imagination. Anyway, must not drag on in heels. It's quite a hike. Oh, it's a campfire, and see, the coals are still warm. Not a soul to be seen. Most intriguing. Oh, do not be startled, Lavender. According to Dr. Jacob, wild goats roam around here, nothing to be afraid of. Come along now. Oh, I'm sure it is nothing. We have come too far to be deterred now, have we not? Immolated. I refuse to be deterred by a childish eye. This is clearly the work of children. I mean, I have gone in the area. There's nothing there. Children sorely in need of better education. Step aside. You are coming, yes, Lavender. It would be terrible if anything were to happen without you there to protect me. Isn't this the most absolutely glorious bloom you have ever set your eyes upon? Okay, that's not actually there, normally. Oh, do not be so wary, Lavender. I have no intent to harm it, merely to admire it. And maybe to take a cutting, or perhaps... Oh, do not be such a killjoy, Lavender. It is growing like a weed. Surely a single seedling shall not be missed. What was that? Let's go. Whew, I do not think we're being followed. That was impressive. I've never seen anyone run so fast. Yeah, well, when your speed is maxed out. Thank you, Lavender. I really do mean that. It was quite an adventure. Did I get a seedling, or... Yes. Munchington leans into your hand and emits out a rumbling purr. Aww. I'm sad to say, but
Yeah,
my seedlings
Parker's
may have to
whining.
flourish.
That is him.
Perhaps I could persuade you to accompany me on a
Parker, what's the matter?
visit someday?
Baby.
Do you think you might need to go OUT?
Yeah, probably.
Do you want me to take him, or do you...
Yeah, could you take it?
Alright. Don't think you like Aideen? Yeah. She's not my favorite, honestly. She has moments, but... I don't vibe with her. Yeah, I'm not going to go to the BRB screen, but I am going to swap to the chatting screen in case the boy comes by. Hi, baby. Like so. It's just a fight.
Oh. Parker.
I do need to put my socks on.
Parker. Parker. Parker.
He's licking the plate.
I know he is. Come here. Come here. Yeah. You're a good boy, Parker. Parker, sit. Can I have pop?
outside?
There's a what?
A suspicious white van outside.
Oh.
With the door open. And
Um.
what looks like 2 men in it.
Woof. Tell her.
Hi. Oh yeah. Massive number 2.
Yeah, I kind of figured that's why he was whining. He hasn't gone. He didn't go to bed this morning.
What? What do you want?
What do you think you want?
Right?
No. Well, yes, but crate.
Good boy. He actually is. He's a good boy.
I know. See, that's part about having dog privilege right there. Well, scary dog.
Yeah?
He's in his crate now. They didn't see you, did they?
Well, they opened the door while I was going by.
Oh. I think it's a good thing you locked the door. Hell no. Hell no. Not in this lifetime, brother. Ow.
Yeah, if stream didn't hear that. That suspicious white van that looked like it had 2 men in it opened its door as I came by. So, genuinely, it seems like having Parker eventually came and clicked right then.
I'm clearly missing something here. Ow. That's death. Oh. Ow. That bitch. Ow. Yes. Ow.
I think I need a couple more ice cubes.
That's what I fucking thought, bitch. Ow. Oh. Neat. New area. New area. Actual new area I am in.
Hi, Happy, I'm your wife. And what makes that van scarier is that we actually have upstairs neighbors who have kids. Or a kid. A young girl at that.
There's something up here.
Mmm. Delicious. Opal said, "Oh, woo to you too." For,
Aw.
and I do have the bork command for that
Oh, I
purpose.
need a howl command at this point.
Baby, yeah, sweet poppers, good barker. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Nope, that coin isn't worth it.
That's a nope. You will never understand white vampires. At least make it less flirting due to mystery in colors or something. Yeah. Like, is it possible that Van is innocent? Yeah, sure. But at the same time,
Jump.
a suspicious white van
That opened its doors soon
that
as
opened
you
its
walked
doors
by.
as soon as I walked by, that appeared to have two men inside who were looking at me and Parker the entire time I was out there. Not exactly an experience that inspires confidence in their character.
Olivia.
They were sus AF? Yep. Like, could they be innocent? Sure, yeah, but they gave me no reason to believe they were. Okay. That's it for this area until... Okay, so I pulled up a sync tab on my laptop, so I'm going to close the tab there to help with the lag.
I jumped. Fuck.
Where'd my
Yeah.
horse go?
Yeah.
I just had my horse. Where'd it go? Horse? Of course I would move is
Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna put my headphones back on. I'm not seeing any purple arrows. I'm seeing yellow arrows, but no purple arrows. Oh, there's my horse.
Ah! Die. I can't dodge. Ow.
Dying is what you do when you can't dodge.
Please, 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 please. Okay. Oh, that's right. It refills when I'll
Get the horse flute. Well, that is an item that is on the beach, which I haven't legitimately unlocked yet. I could cheat by teleporting there, or I could cheat by spawning it in, but I don't want to.
It's the water.
I think that's all of the things that I can get. You just assumed I was okay cheating? I'm okay cheating for some things, but not others.
Ow.
I always forget that you can, in fact, actually put things into shipping bins on your horse.
Fucking hit you, bitch.
Besides, if I really want to zoom, I've got the tractor, which is just as fast as the horse.
I jumped.
Do I do the 12-month spread? What do you mean by 12-month spread?
Is that even a tarot spread at all?
It is. A lot of people do it at the beginning of the year.
Here?
Like I know Evie does.
Fuck me, brother.
Tarot reading, yeah. I personally don't. Okay, Desert Festival, that might cause a lot of people to go there that I don't want to, but at the same time.
I'm gonna pull Sid's stream.
Your mother used to do it, so you were curious? Neat.
Joining Silent Hill 2 because Caddy was that non-natural?
I'm just gonna wait around here, wait for the NPCs to come here. She also used to have her runes. Ooh.
Mother. Bullshit.
Whee. You didn't follow that bit because she didn't use them after a certain person touched them? Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh, that's a neat sign. Apparently he tainted them with evil energy or something. Yeah, that is a thing. Like, bad people can affect things. But it is possible to cleanse that bad energy.
Yep.
You just have to know how. Oops, I never finished paving the road here. I meant to finish laying down the pavement there.
Ow. Let me up. Oh my god. Fucking hell.
I also meant to bridge this to up here. Is that it? I was expecting more people to be going. Oh well.
I didn't want to go down. I wanna
Tuesday.
go.
Mars not here. Oh. Architect. She just didn't trust them even if they were cleansed. You're not sure much about this person, but I know dogs hated them, which is kind of enough. Oh yeah. Dogs detect evil.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what I forgot to do? Whee.
Gorgeous. Due to copyright music in Sackboy, I will not be playing it.
Oh, it's 10, so I can actually talk to villagers that I didn't. Up here. If they're here. spending much of your time in bird high. Just laughed her to consider. Yeah, because she's taken by a dummy idiot. Don't have anything to donate, and doesn't look like anyone except Gunter's. Oh! Where is Miss Penny? Clinton and Elliot you're not a fan of? Well, Elliot, I don't like that he was rude to Gus in the one cutscene by calling him bartender. But he's kinda dense, but not... He's dense, but at the same time, he doesn't mean harm. He's just kind of... Like, he's very much, like... Cause he has a kiss scene that sets off red flags.
Is he confessing to you right now?
He is. I assume that. Yeah, that. That is a scene you can only get after you begin to court him, though. So, like, you initiate it first, so.
Oh, I should. Okay.
Trap you in a boat? I mean, yes, but technically you are dating. Gives you that warning.
This worked last time. Surely it'll work this time. Just kind of claim the area. Oh, the hammers are back.
How was your date? Pretty good now that I'm seeing you, Sophia. Same thing. Better because you're here. Sophia is very cute. That's valid. Had to deal with the child. All good. Orc, orc. Dusty mini pets.
Dude, we just jump faster! Oh my god, jump! What the fuck is this game's issue? God. Jesus Christ.
Olivia cutscene, icing. Alex is genuinely only okay to date if you're a guy, yeah. Because it gives him some character growth, yeah. But there is character growth
Jesus Christ.
if you're a girl because he becomes less sexist, but at the same time, he and Shane are always the last two guys I go for when I'm dating everyone.
Holy Christ. My fucking god, I hate this shit. I am gonna throw my fucking
Concerning
controller. Because that was horse shit.
Needed to speak to you in private. You don't mind Shane, but that's more because you relate to him. You think, yeah, he's
I
very...
can fix him. Also, blue chickens, hello.
Does Kels like Shane?
Yeah, I have a type when it comes to men, apparently. If you judge me, I swear to fucking God, the bit about taking me to Grounds Coffee tomorrow will not be a bit.
It's okay. You can make fun of me for all the redheads I like.
Why do you think I keep my hair red? Because you give me anything I want. For reasons, that is actually a joke.
Alcoholic loser. And hey, yeah, I am charming. And I do like Olivia, but at the same time, I wouldn't date her. Especially not since her son is of dateable age too. Like, that kind of does give me the ick, and the only reason I am is because I need to have the... I want to see both of them and show off both of them. Oh. Caroline is not the best. Although I think a lot of that is due to the influence of Pierre.
Surely I won't die this time, right? Die again.
Pierre is also a scumbag, let's be honest. Yeah. He only gets points for being better than Morris.
Did someone claim it already?
Like, Pierre and Demetrius are horrible parents.
I have.
Don't mind me, just trying to get the chocolate at the bottom to be stirred up without using a spoon. I think I got it. Demetrius is full helicopter parent. In the worst possible way. And he's also a horrible husband. Do you see the way he talks to Robin?
Yeah, I got here.
Like, at least Pierre loves Caroline. Whatever else you can say about him, you can say he loves his wife.
I bought the Jared. And then I was at the game store. I bought
But Demetrius, on the other hand,
Dinosaurs. What else did I buy? Oh yeah, I bought this game.
I took a cat for Sephora.
I'm excited. Like, I got it for like 4
Okay, need to go.
Yeah, and then I bought Dynasty Warriors 5 because that was another memory I had of the same person I caught for Robot Chicken.
You saw a mod once where it made it like Pierre was abusing Caroline? Yeah, and she divorced him. I assume similar to the mod where Demetrius cheated on Robin with Robin's sister and divorced Robin, which is how you get to date Robin.
Fuck off!
And as messed up, and as much as I would like to date Robin,
Yeah,
that kind of
played
mod is a little too messed up for me.
4 that was on the game.
It was to date Caroline. Yeah. Why, modders? Why do you have to be like this? I know that they are terrible people, but you don't have to make them even worse in order to justify dating.
Oh yeah, marshmallows don't count for the national spinach. Remember that, okay?
Oh, do you have room in your bag for a milk?
I don't.
I'll cook it and eat it. That way.
Marlon, Penny, and Claire. I can go into Pierre's. I mean, I can go into Vertigo to see if. Oh, and I can also check the trailer to see if Penny is there.
That's everything. We haven't done a totem yet. No, we really do that. Oh yeah, we should. Those are excellent. Yeah, there's also no potential. We can I'm carrying a balloon, water bottle.
There's nothing poor about Clint. Dude is a creep.
Apply. I don't know what their restrictions are, but apply. Because they didn't email me back like any limitations on like followers or view hours or whatever. In fact, I think they were basing it on Instagram.
I have so many hot topic posts.
But I was surprised I was approved because I'm not like a, I'm not a perfect streamer.
That's why I was, because I know somebody who has a hot topic partnership and he gets like 100 views stream. I'm like, yeah.
You love this dance? Mm-hmm.
I cook the Kiro. I don't know if it's still nice. Save my schmemo. Yeah, I haven't really promoted it. I just have the links in my page. So like it's there.
So far,
Does the Kiro look okay to you?
it's flat.
It's
Well, I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
apps and
I'm applying to become a Hot Topic partner.
texture, but I don't think it's supposed to be like this.
I was gonna say, you think it would be like darker green, flat.
I don't stream or anything. Really. Could you imagine
Mm-hmm.
all the freaking clothes in the world? I genuinely love Hot Topic as a brand.
Unless you're
I
on
need-
topic, that's awesome.
Yeah, between that and the 4 to 6 subscription that I've been getting, that's basically a lot. I say it's everywhere.
I'd give you a workout, Emily.
Honey bunny, you're taking me to Grounds Coffee tomorrow. Naughty.
You haven't been this sweaty since you ordered that flyer at my guess graduation dance.
Oh,
Well, I better take a shower. Thanks for watching.
The account's on Instagram called HellXL. Super talented artist. He's got a Silent Hill one that's really cool.
And you step outside to dilute this corner.
there was, I bought these soundproof headphones despite not having finished the game, but I was like, they're the only ones left. I don't see them restocking them. I really want them. I'm gonna buy them. And then there was a Pyramid Head shirt at GameStop the same place I got my headphones, and I wish I'd gotten it. It was like $12 too. So sad.
So GameStop usually has, I bought like
Okay, I think that's
packs
most
of like
people.
big socks from them. So they usually have like bundles of Mario socks. I forgot dress socks when I was on my
Oh,
work.
right.
So I went to
I need to talk to Bea
picked up a pair of Shrek socks and Mario Brothers 3 socks.
and Marnie.
But jump early. Yeah, I jumped.
Hi, Lavender. Hi, Bea.
Should I jump from? Oh wait, never mind. So there's another badge, and I don't know how to get it. There's a badge for getting on the top of a tall tree.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
That one. That's,
Like those ones.
It's
Really, really.
yeah, these really tall ones over here. Oh, that big. You might be able to do that.
Why didn't I drop? I bought Jesus South Park socks not that long ago when I was in Ohio.
Very nice. I'm gonna aim for this vine right here.
No, you mean Ohio?
And that was before they brought new women.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah.
Running around, coming around, coming around.
Oh yeah, I can talk to the wizard.
It's like,
I'm a slide.
Jesus fuck, come on. What is this shit luck?
I was
With my current teeth, I should probably sound a little different, like more feral on occasion.
between that and your glasses, yeah.
Where's my paw?
have any effects you can put on your?
Did someone fucking open it?
So I do have voice mod, and I never use it. It has your hunger.
It's like a sliver. It's
How's yours?
Awesome.
My hunger is okay.
Alright, I can talk to Andy, and the rest I assume are at Discord.
yeah.
Oh, for sake, brother!
No.
I had one. Oh no! I think I left my marshmallow behind.
I'm gonna fucking scream. This is bullshit.
Save it for later.
See, and that even reminds me of this song. Save it for later by General Public. Actually, it's not by General Public. It's not by General Public. By Special Needs Service. Yeah, it's by the Eagles.
Turn the other way.
Special Needs Service is the name of their album.
Easy.
Sid has excellent taste in music.
Wait, you know that song?
Does have excellent taste in music. Yeah. Just because that rhythm is so easy to pick up.
Yeah, General Public covered it when I went to
There was no way about it.
Lost 80s Live last time. They were so cool. Like, I know maybe 2 of their songs well, but they're really good.
Oh my god.
I love it. I'm trying.
Festival is really only fun for 1 or 2 years suddenly, yeah. Past a certain point it just becomes an obligation.
Probably my favorite song.
Mods do help with that though. Willie's not here though. The fishing one, yeah.
I'm okay.
I was gonna say I do like my music taste, but that's kind of obvious.
There would be a lot more to unpack, but I really hate my taste in music.
I just can't stop.
Plus 30.
I just can't stop listening to the songs that I hate.
And my choice of Pokemon is the worst.
Alright, who's everybody's favorite Pokemon?
I like weird pets. I like Squirtle.
Oh, what's your favorite Pokemon?
So my first, to answer this, my very first Pokemon was Bulbasaur. My favorite is Psyduck, because he's my little migraine buddy.
That's my favorite too. And we both have the same Psyduck plush.
Yeah.
I made my brother, because it was the day that my brother took me to get my tattoo, and he went to Target to find some supplies, and then we met up at the mall, and he was like, I found this big Psyduck plush in Target, and I was like, you have to take me back to Target right now. I told him, I said, we are going to Target before we leave. He's like, really? And I was like, yes.
Oh yeah.
I'm so
There was
serious.
a part of me whenever the Detective Pikachu movie came out and they animated.
Wow, it's almost like you fucking... What was I doing? Oh. Game.
I think I got Harvey stuff.
Fucking bullshit ass. Will you turtle out of a fucking...
You don't like your favorite minigame, the fishing one? Oh, I have it turned off for I have it turned off for when I'm doing fishing for specific things. I have the fishing game on by default, it's just off. Because when I'm doing fishing for a specific fish, I try to speedrun it because you can't fish.
Yes. Yes. Blaziken is a Pokemon.
Ginger Islands, Graps nearly ruined fishing for me, but gladly you're over that. Yeah.
It's the dark Eevee, so it's like it's black and
Oh, it's for the Evolution Eevee, okay.
yeah.
So like one of the later Pokemon I didn't know about until like 5 minutes
Okay, so I take it that Olivia is intended to be significantly older, and that relationship is just.
Okay, I didn't remember if you said
There is an age gap, but it's not meant. But it's meant to be two consenting adults. I assume.
I don't know.
It's a major right.
That looks like it was right on.
It did. Yeah, I know their name. The name sounds
That's the last evolution of Torchic. There's Torchic, Combustion, and then Blaziken.
very legit.
Go up! Why are you being... Oh my god, I hate this fucking game.
You'll be disappearing soon when Gorgeous gets home. As a heads up, all good. Gotta tend to the wifey. And yes, I know, not technically married yet, but still, wifey.
Yeah, that would have been contact. Okay, here, I'll try for you. Use your hair.
Let's take out these to put this in. And more the wifey tends to me valid. Alright, back to the desert.
Marshmallows. Not gonna lie, s'mores actually sound really fun. I don't know.
I love areas overrun by monsters.
Don't you have to cook them though and eat them, or
They help me grind out a lot.
This is annoying to deal with. There's a launch pad. I'm a sniper now. That's so cool. I love that for me.
Whee!
so helpful now I know how to tell the poison.
We like jumping into holes, we do indeed.
I am so glad that did not just cause some damage there.
Not there.
I don't know if the speed apparently it doesn't matter. What the fuck? My fucking god, I'm gonna lose it. I am gonna fucking lose it.
You're honestly surprised that count isn't higher knowing you? Well, it was a relatively recent command. But also, yeah,
What command?
the lewdness counter.
Oh. Yeah. I don't think you added it until about like our second month or so into the old apartment.
Mm-hmm. What do I get rid of? Probably the slime. I'm gonna actually drop things off.
Oh, there's luggage over there. Well, that's what I saw with the thing.
I was not expecting the frog to eat the mummy.
people don't like that I curse like a sailor. Sorry.
Stream elements.
What happened?
Some rock hard action.
Hey.
13 levels, that's a record.
When I was in printmaking, you had to like peel the prints off of the ink. So you had to be really careful not to move it, otherwise you'd smudge it. And I had a friend in there, so every time, because it was so satisfying watching, so people would like gather around and watch you peel the print off. And my friend and I constantly were like, careful SpongeBob, careful SpongeBob, which we actually not know.
Anyway.
And my inventory is full again.
Oh, so this is the big tree you need to climb? Yeah,
Ooh.
this one's nosy.
I was thinking.
What's this way? That was a shit jump. You were better jumping that. That was a shit jump. Don't jump like me.
That is great luck if I didn't already have auto petters.
If you didn't have what now?
Auto petters.
Oh.
I see nothing here. What's that?
I thought that was extended.
Thank you. Something about hiking in flip-flops seemed like a good idea at the time, you know? Okay.
Let's drop this stuff off again.
This is nice. We're behind the waterfall. It's like Skyrim.
Make it so easy. Shit.
Let's get that other edge. Try this way
Also, I think it's, again, safe to say, ads are not real. Because the entire time Opal has been here, they haven't gotten a single ad.
Yeah. I didn't get any ads during Acid's stream either. I'm so used to being able to have the radio on.
Correct, Mundo? Mm-hmm. Oh, just Opal confirmed.
Oh.
There's one over on the other one.
Very precariously perched on a like
Fucking god. Oh my god, you know what?
Yeah.
Seasonal flavors of ice cream are out again.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was something that piqued your interest or not. But if not, we don't have to try. But if so,
Whatever you want.
why do you say whatever I want? Why can't we ever do?
Well, because what you want, you get.
But what do you want?
You can be happy.
You can't keep beating around the bush every time. If you don't want to try it, you can just tell me. You know that, right?
I know.
I love you.
I love you. I'm gonna go back up. That's the one problem with the Skull Caverns. Your inventory always fills up so quickly. I can toss these though because they're the same. And duplicate frogs. 9 seconds. Duplicate gold stars. Yeah, I can toss. Sometimes you want to try things, but in your own time when you feel like it. Mm-hmm.
Alright, folks.
You've gotten upset before because you wanted something but waited too long, and someone else assumed you didn't want it anymore. Ah, yeah. What color? Green flower, got that. Six seconds, got better. Look at how fast my inventory fills, and this is just the first couple levels.
Alright.
Perfect.
I am in sweaty gamer mode. Let's go. Hair is up. Jaw clip is in. Let's go, baby.
That is a useful trinket.
Does anyone have space for anything? If I lost the medicinal root, I don't know what it is.
Stream elements.
Okay, so we have 10 0. I can just spoiler trigger back.
That's gonna destroy more than I wanted it to. Oh well.
Here, I'll give you this. I already have balloons.
Ooh, a hole. What do we see when we see a hole? What do we do when we see a hole? Oh, there's so many items. Da-da-da-da. And a hole is a goal. Exactly.
Jesus Christ. It spreads.
Mm. Da-da-da-da. What can I toss?
Oh, thank you.
Alright, return to the surface again. I assume that's common.
I was trying to cheat our way to getting objects to the top.
Okay, I can toss this rod. I can toss that
Jesus.
rod.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Hell no. What? Are you fucking serious?
Probably definitely.
I give up.
Got one of those, and it doesn't have levels. Ooh, there's a hole. Good thing you don't have a cuss command for Kels. Mm-hmm. It would be impossible to keep
Bullshit.
track.
Motherfucker. Eat my ass.
I certainly could.
Well, that's not really my
You wouldn't be able to play. Yeah.
What happened?
Oh, it's just if we had a cuss command for you, I wouldn't be able to play because I'd be too busy constantly adding to the cuss command.
Oh, yeah. Listen. I stopped giving a crap when I fucking left the church. wash my mouth anymore.
Making up for lost time, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much.
I always forget that I can toss the stone.
Listen, like when Brie and I eventually have kids, when the time comes, I won't let them cuss until not listen. There's certain words you can say right now, and there are others you can't say right now.
This level is lagging because of all of the loot that I can't pick up.
I'm shot at. Fucking far away. What the hell? Stop.
Please give me a ladder so I can get out of this hellscape. Ladder, please. Please give me a ladder. Matter of fact, I did not know her. Bones aren't really worth having in the inventory. That's not really worth it either.
Oh, I'm gonna die. This took forever.
Yeah, I've got plenty of those. I don't need more. Your gaydar just tripped for her daughter's friend. Started playing in cut for her, and now she's learned her favorite song on electric guitar. That is hella gay in hindsight. We're lagging again because we've got all of this loot. Where's the ladder?
Oh, for fuck's sake. Sheesh.
And do you know what the final confirmation for gaydar can be? If a person gives the queer flirt, which is a compliment of, in the very specific voice, I like your hair.
I like your outfit.
I love those shoes. Like, if you're queer, you know it. You know the queer flirt. Like, even if you've got the tism and don't recognize it when it's being used on you, on some level you know it. I'm just gonna immediately go down. They're complimenting each other, both of them. Ooh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's happened to us on occasions.
Mm-hmm. Checking for holes, but I think I'm just gonna use the ladder because of the lag. Let's see, what else can I get rid of? Blue green flag, I think I have that already.
Oop, I just got pinged. Fuck. I hate it here. What's wrong with me?
Gorgeous has been at the depot for like half an hour. Yeah.
Believe me, I was wondering where my wife was today. Because, like, it was 2 something, and I was like, we got an appointment at 4 o'clock. Parker, where's my wife?
So do you want to know what happened?
Yes. What happened? Am I gonna be mad?
No. Or at least not seriously mad. It would, if you're mad, it's probably as a bit mad rather than actually mad.
Mm-hmm. Okay, go on. What happened?
So, on the way home for the first day and trying, I did not use the GPS.
You got lost.
Don't jump to that conclusion. I was in the green arrow lane because it was open for the first time ever since we've moved into this place, because it's been closed every time I've been on that road without fail, so I haven't been on it. I autopiloted onto I-5. And I knew how to navigate home from there. But then I missed my turn. And then I realized, oh yeah, I can still make it back if I make it on this turn. Then I missed that turn. Then I activated the GPS to find my way back. The GPS kept on getting lost, but I out GPSed the GPS in keeping with the navigation that the GPS was trying but failing to do. And that caused a couple of delays.
Gotcha.
Too many things. What do I give up?
So happy that I decided
Blue green frog. Yeah, I've got 2 of those. Okay, for this, I see something that is. Yeah, get rid of the copy. More serpents.
These things are so cool. I'm so glad they're in the game. Too bad
I guess you could say this season of Fortnite is crushing it.
I want to go to Grounds Coffee tomorrow. Fuck you.
Well, I gladly would. Gorgeous called you all good, and just me doing the same. You did, like, I did tell a bit of a story of me navigating today, but that was about it.
But I'm proud of you, though. I will say.
You are dating, you are married to a human GPS who can
Say
now.
dating. I think we're way past dating.
We're beginning to get
What am I
black.
doing? Well,
Last I heard, Cuz was wondering if they will be angry. Oh yeah, that was just before the story. The long and short of it is I out GPS'd my GPS. I'm pretty sure I already have blue-green, so let's get these. That should help. You're at fur baby stage of the version, definitely more than dating. Yeah. Ooh. What do I give up?
we'll find something in your inventory that's not of importance.
Everything is of some importance. Ooh, we've got holes to jump in. This. Screw it, I'm heading back home.
You're fine.
And even then, I've still got one more thing.
I won? Yes!
I'm proud of you.
Yes, 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 yes!
I've got ancient seeds, so I guess I give up that. The kids are so sweet to me right now. Oh, that's good to hear. And as Opal says, congrats, Kels.
Oh, thank you! My first victory royale in like a hot minute. Congratulations. Ooh, look at this new glider I got, honey.
Oh.
even like the Lego packs, right?
Yes, I did just give up the invent currency.
Oh, yeah. Oh. When I come back, let me know if that's actually.
I got rid of my bombs, I need to bring them back.
Let me know if this beginning cutscene might load, if it's too loud. Let's take Is that like too loud?
I don't think so.
Oh, I forgot. Hold on.
Okay, maybe that's a bit loud.
Yeah, it's the menu. There. Better?
Much.
Sorry.
Okay, let's just focus on getting down as deep as we can. Let's check. Do I have that? Don't think I do. Enter the hole. I mean, I wish it were a hole, but instead it's just a boring ladder. Okay, emeralds, we want those, so let's get rid of the slime. Yep, can get rid of those bombs. There we go, ladder.
Alright.
Oops. Orange sapling, that can replace the iron. Prismatic shard, that can replace the gold.
Oh wait, that's really cute.
Let's just go down. Sprinklers, let's replace the copper. More monsters, nice. Let's replace the copy with something that will get rid of some of the lag. At least temporarily. There we go. Oh, I think I got upgraded monsters and more monsters. I want that lollipop. What do I get rid of? I don't encounter much coal. There we go. Okay, what do I get rid of now? I guess I get rid of the algae. I don't like carrying the stone, but at the same time I need to in order to get rid of the lag. Comparatively, I don't get much of these. Those are some good drops, but at the same time, I think I'm just gonna go down the hole and not think about it too much. I mean, I've got iridium bars. I guess I can get rid of the ore.
You're an asshole. I did nothing to you. I've been minding my own goddamn fucking business.
I'm just gonna instantly go down. Ooh, a hole. Okay, so I'm gonna get rid of something.
Really?
I think it's the event currency, because I don't really care about having
Are you
that.
fucking with me right now?
I've made it to level 50, that's pretty far. If I get lagged out, I get lagged out. I can do better than quality sprinklers. I don't want to leave the red slime behind, but I think I have to. I've got the hat already. Oh, I can get rid of bug meat. There we go. Oh yeah, I definitely upgraded the monsters. because those are the upgraded bats.
Just one more. If someone could get out of me. Anyone? Hello? You're not real? Go away. Who's working on this, Jenny? Okay, let me help you. Come here. How do you fuck that up?
Okay, I think that's where we call it here.
Are you done with stream?
Well, no, but with mine.
Oh, I was like, sorry.
Imagine, Penny, they were like the dwarves or elves or fairies. Also, I think that means I've talked to everyone.
Cancel. I'm not on the game right now. I'm just trying to my blood fight.
Let's see. Why doesn't that count as talking to you? Claire and Mateo are both gone. Alright. Okay, large map fast time. Seven.
Ooh! So anything with the flashlight, I don't care about.
Look, I just don't want to, okay? Why are you leaving me? Are there animals or something that are more worthy of your attention? I'm sorry. Oh, you startled me, Arbiter. Oh, what's that about? Oh, you heard just family business. Oh, is Jacob related to Clint? Anyhow, I shouldn't keep you. Best to be going. Animals to tend to. Take care, Lavender. I love you. Thanks for spending more time. And smile. And I do get it. Alex does get character growth, but at the same time, the only reason to really go after him is either 100% or to pet the doggo. feeling. Hey, sorry I'm covered in gobswords. I've just been up an egg. Lewis has me looking for something, some poor old Dorothy. Once upon a time, farmers around here used to compete to see who was the best. Whatever that means. Crazy, right? Hey, you want to come up and take a look? Sweet, just head up the stairs there. Mind your head. Sorry, oof, that's gotta hurt. Sorry about the dust. You have no idea how hard it is to keep a place like this clean. Wanna go through a couple of boxes? Okay, you take the ones by the door. I'll get this one here. I guess we're looking for something shiny. Well, this one's just full of old junk. Any luck with yours? Dusty old journal. There's a name on it. Lillian Sheridan. Sheridan. Who does that name sound familiar? Oh, I know. Sheridan. Cherry orchards. They brewed artisan liquors back, 56 years ago. Then there was some sort of scandal and the orchard was abandoned. Maybe this will hold some sort of clue as to what happened. I'll let you know if I find anything interesting. The lore is fascinating. But I can't talk to you about it today. Anything at the lighthouse or today for me? I doubt it, but I'll check.
Hey, honey bunny.
Yes?
I think well, that actually proves it to me. Okay, I'm actually gonna wrap up so that I can frost the cupcakes. So if you want to wrap up so you can read Sid, now would be a good time.
I lost my horse. Oh, there.
Maybe they went to the neighbors.
I mean,
That
would be a
dumb
good
joke.
name.
I'm never making another joke ever again.
that would be a good name, but... Or a good name.
No, don't you try to pity me. You can tell me that was a bad joke.
But it wasn't. It's on par with E-Quest Ryan.
I still can't get over that one.
Okay, I think that everything that can be done here has been done here. I can check if Jodamart. I don't think so, but yeah, nothing at Jodamart. I can do a mini loop down here. Don't think there's anything here. Yep, nothing here. And again, I have talked to everyone except Marlon, who I don't think I can. And Claire, who isn't there. And Mateo, who is kind of glitched out of the game at the moment. I think due to the festival. Nothing's here. I'll check inside. I'm basically cutscene hunting at the moment. There we go. Cutscene. Have dinner, want to join us.
Keep in mind, I don't know how much longer Sid is gonna go.
It's taco night. I know. I assume this is after Maru is public about dating us, so we would be considered part of the family. Try my best to contain no promises. Oh, it might be a Sebastian cutscene. This is not a cutscene I'm familiar with.
Wait, what cutscene?
Oh, it's a Sebastian interacting with Demetrius cutscene. Sebastian wanted to eat in his room. And Demetrius is trying to convince him to eat with the family. Wait, did that eat up my fish? No, that's a different event. Yeah, by the looks of it, that was a Sebastian cutscene. I'll go check the mines. I don't think there would be anything. Same for the Adventurer's Club, although I might have access to it back then. Well, I can at least talk to him. Ooh! Catch. Ultra ball for a special Jolteon. Well, no cutscene, but
Yeah,
I did get the book. Oh, cutscene. Howdy, Lavender. It's a little late to get started down there tonight, isn't it? I know you're a competent adventurer, but I'd be pretty devastated if anything happened to you. Let's make sure you're geared up and ready to go. I've got food, I've got extra supplies if they need them. Let me see your plate. I have wood stuff. Oh, take this. It's dangerous to go alone.
Dangerous to go alone. Take this.
Do. How long were you planning on avoiding us? Until I was convinced you didn't have a bone to pick with me. Please don't. It's been almost a decade. Where have you been hiding this whole time, kid? I was getting my PhD and obscuring my feelings with humor. You want to try
Remind me of someone else.
Alright, it's in sociocultural anthropology. And what about mine? I haven't spoken to him since before I started college. Are you lying
Those
to me?
cupcakes are so good.
Oh, it's just been so long, and just could say I wanted to bury it. I'm shouldering the consequences of his actions while he rides out his life on Georgia's dollar. Is that what happened? He sold out? Yeah, I don't know the details, but so you helped pack the crates. You're right, I did, and I carry the weight of those crates every day. I understand what I did was wrong there, but I didn't then. I trusted Wyatt and he failed me just the same as he did everyone else. That's no excuse though, and I know that. And I owe you an apology, I just hadn't figured out where to start yet. You just did, kid. We just shouldn't have had to corner you to talk about it. Okay, we don't hold you responsible for Wyatt's choices, Marion. I just wanted to make sure you didn't continue down his path. Remember, you can't change the past, but you can turn towards the future. Alright, Lavender, thank you for seeing this through with me. Sounds like we've got a lot to catch up on. How about tomorrow at the saloon? First turns on me, eh? That sounds great. You're more than welcome to come along, Lavender. We won't wait forever, though. Technically, you will. Thanks for the talk at beer, Lavender. I think it really made it. It's here today. And stay safe down there, alright? I meant what I said before. Onlypans.com?
Hey, I wonder what specials Grounds Coffee has.
Okay, speaking of those, that's where I'm actually going next.
By the way, did you catch the Jolteon?
I did. All houses have been gone to, pretty sure. Final round of double checking. Cutscenes. Oh, they're kind enough to give me the cutscene now. I don't have to wait for a different night. Hey, Lavender, glad you could make it. Mateo was just telling us about their studies. He said you'd said Ember Island University? Got through that doctorate bottle in hand. It was rough. You're watching your liver now? Yes, sir. Thanks for asking. Right, so the elephant in the room. That Lavender is here. Why don't you just start by telling us what happened? Fair enough. Honestly, the most I had noticed was that Wyatt was on the phone a lot more for a week or so. He didn't start acting shifty until the night we pulled the trigger. He asked me to load everything up, and we met Georgia representative by the bus stop. Once everything was in, he and I joined the driver. We went with him to Zuzu. Presumably that's where money changed hands because we were on to Fern Islands after that. Hi, Josie! Welcome on in. It's a long time to see. If you're wondering, I have a new place with my wife. We just moved in a couple weeks ago. And things are a lot better now. I'm playing modded Stardew Valley. Why didn't you say no to him or go to Marlon or Lewis for help? I was afraid I'd have nowhere to go if you left. Besides, I had no idea of what the long-term consequences would be. I didn't expect Wyatt to completely close off afterward. I wish you'd come to me sooner. Yeah, Mateo, I'm sorry, it's not your fault. Mateo is someone I empathize a lot with due to what happened in 2023 and the echo effects down through 2024. Because, boy oh boy, do I know it. Can't change what happened. All you can really change is what you do with your life after. We're so happy for y'all. You needed that excellent news. How are you doing, Josie? Like, are things going okay on your end, or do you need a hug? I just didn't know what would happen. Yeah. None of us can. Dale. He mentioned he didn't seem himself. Right, he didn't treat me poorly, but he wasn't the same. Greed changes a man. I spent some time with him, but then I left for school and haven't seen him since. What's your plan now, kid? The air is clear. You've got nothing to worry about from neither of us. Nor to Townswick. You've already done so well getting reacquainted. What will bring you the most joy? Adventuring, but it feels different now, like I've got something worth protecting all of a sudden. Yeah, that was me as well. Me protecting, like, my wife, my close friends, and all of that is what quite literally saved my life. And like, that's something that I both have talked about quite a bit, but also don't talk about nearly enough, is like how much I have changed for the better because of what I went through, the good, the bad, the ugly. But the good is ultimately what matters most. Look at you, kid. No more frowning, no more sad faces, okay? Yeah. All for one for all, and that sort of thing. Does it mean you'll be coming with us on patrols, Gunther? Absolutely not. I'm perfectly fine behind my counter, thank you. to spend some time with Marlon, Gunther, and Mateo before heading out for the evening. Everyone seemed to be relaxed spirits after a few drinks and a heartfelt chat. Thank you for coming along, Lavender. You didn't have to, but it meant a lot to me to have your company. Whee! Whee! Also, I'm gonna type this. Let me know if you actually get ads for working under the assumption nobody is. But if you are getting ads, we need to know. Yeah, I figured nothing in there. But we do have a cutscene here. Oh, hi, Lavender. Come in. Do I smell fresh fish? Yes, you do. Sam, could you come in here and help with dinner? Yes, ma'am. Well, this looks like quality bass, Lavender. Thanks so much for bringing this. Yep, it's iridium quality, in fact. Crispy bass was delicious. The breeding was out of this world. Almost feel like a part of the family now. Okay. I think that's everything I can do today. Dun, 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 dun. Still no Claire. Your daughter is in high school? Brother. Oh, I'm so sorry. I know that a while back there was the struggles there. I'm so sorry, Josie. And like, take all of the time you need to like grieve, because I know that losing family is always extra hard. Oh, I didn't really sell anything. Whoops. Oh well. I'm probably not gonna play the next day, but I will preview it. So, can't do that yet. Oh, it's still the Desert Festival. It's also Beatrice's birthday. So I've still got to go to the Desert Festival for one more day. It's a cat can chat. And then there's 15 coals. I think we saw that, what you had in mind, Elliot. But yeah, I'll reread those and redo everything. And swapping to the just chatting screen. But yeah, if you need an extra dose of good news, our puppy Parker is turning 1 year old in just over a week on September 15th, which is our pre-anniversary. So, like, Parker is our baby boy, our puppy. And he's who Kels drew emotes of. So these are our Parker emotes, which is the happy, the lurk, and the cute. Which is also aw adorable. Thank you, Bree. And I am sorry that I can't go for too much longer. I got a late start
Here you
and
go.
was already cupcake. Freshly frosted
Yes.
by my talented wife, who is an excellent baker. That is paper, not frosting.
Do you like it?
I love it.
Cream cheese frosting goes with spice cake.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it goes with carrot cake, it goes with spice cake. Which is just carrot cake without the carrot. Out of 10, what do you rate it?
20 out of 10.
And tomorrow I make brownies.
Delicious.
Give me your trash. Don't. You already are taking me to grounds tomorrow.
And again, I'm going to shout out my wife because they deserve the attention.
No, I don't. What are you talking about?
What?
I
Do you
don't
think-
deserve attention.
Well, do you think I deserve attention?
Yes.
Well, if I deserve attention, you deserve attention.
Yeah, there's a place to stand. Like, if you go down to the very end and then go up to your right,
But yeah, like,
or left, sorry.
I did get a late start and was already tired before I started stream. And it is
True.
pretty late, so I will have to be ending. I reached a stopping point in my game and I don't really have a lot to say or keep going. I will say that there is a lot of good things happening. We have a new place. We're mostly organized. Like, we've still got to organize what we want to be our pantry. Like, we ran into a slight delay in that our washer is broken, but this place has really good maintenance that is really, really, really fast on...
Like, we're getting a new washer and dryer tomorrow.
Like, we reported the issue this Sunday. came out Tuesday because of Labor Day
Labor Day
and
was
all of that.
Monday.
Right? They
Got a new part.
they tried to, they've been basically doing as much as they can as quickly as they can, rapidly fixing all the problems with the apartment as they crop up. And like it's a good place with good management that actually cares and
Follows the law.
mm-hmm. And work has an adjusted schedule, which was mutually beneficial. Like a coworker got a much longer commute.
Honey, Sid's raiding. Gonna raid soon. You might wanna raid Sid.
Uh, uh, and I like uh,
Abby is playing World of Warcraft.
Well, you were talking about maintenance.
And then I was going to talk about something else. You kind of made me lose my place in my thought. Trying to remember. Like, place has
Good maintenance, good management.
good management. The neighbors are a lot better. The place is like a lot more space efficient. We have more room to put a lot of our stuff essentially. We got things organized better. Oh, my work is
Do you have to go on this long spiel?
yes. My work is doing is scheduled a lot better. There was a mutually beneficial arrangement where like my coworker got a much longer commute and wanted to only work 4 days, and I'm working the other 3 days, so I'm only working 3 days, but at the same time that actually works for me and is better for me because it gives me the ability to not be so exhausted and overwhelmed and gives me more free time to do the things that we need to be doing right now, both with the move and with Kels also working at Spirit, and allows me more freedom to help pull my weight and doing things like helping take care of the boy, our puppy. I've been doing more writing, working on my novel, and making breakthroughs there. Been more inspired to do like writing songs and making content, and in general, my life is doing a lot better. And like there's still challenges, but at the same time those challenges feel like they have a much easier ability to be overcome. And I'm feeling a lot better and more confident and more free to be me. And there's still a lot that needs to be done, but at the same time, we're in a much better spot to get things done. But we are going to be ending because it is late. If it will allow me, and if it's not too late, then I will do the read of Sid. So So, we're raiding. So that's the raid message. And you can use any heart emote. And again, that's Sid's daddy. So thank you all for coming out. It means the world, and like the support of everyone is how we got here and continue to survive. Like we could not have done this with all of you. So thank you all, and I'll continue to give the spaces to vibe. Like we have Discord and similar, so thank you all. Have a good night. Much love. And good night. Good night. Good night.
Did you rate Sid?